Hi kawan, welcome to EDC Ready. Today we have a new knife collection update as of March 2023. Haven't done this in a while because to be honest my knife collection has pretty much stayed the same for the best part of 6 months, but now I have a lot of new stuff that I want to take you guys through it. So let's start this. We're going to start from here because we're going to start with the budget end, then we're going to go slowly towards the higher end stuff, and we're going to cover one knife that I feel has become my favorite knife in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months since I've had it. So without further ado, let's start with this. We have here my the knife that kicked the benchmade bugger out of my collection. This is the Ganzo Firebird. So you can see it there. F753M. So this guy comes in 440C. It actually has something very similar to the Benchmade Axis lock. They call it a G lock. Any company can now use that kind of technology. They just can't call it an Axis lock because of copyright issues. But the patent for the design has expired. So a lot of companies now you can see are actually using it. Tactile Turn is using it. I believe Kaiser is using it. And a lot of people are using that kind of technology. However, a lot of them still carry the cons of using the axis lock design. You get nice ambidextrous fidgety action. It can drop shut. However, a lot of axis lock knives tend to have a little bit of side play for it to be able to drop shut like that. Okay, it does have a bit of a less poppy detent. The detent is more mushy than it is poppy. However, the Ganzo Detent is actually quite nice. And another thing I gotta say is that Ganzo's Omega springs on the inside here last a lot longer than Benchmade's Omega springs. My bug out, I've had it for 3 months, and then one Omega spring broke, and then 3 months later the other Omega spring broke. However, I've had Ganzo's for 6 months to a year. I've had this guy for well over a year, and the Omega springs are still holding quite strong. Very nice slicer, good budget knife, super cheap, below 20 US dollars I think for this guy. You can probably find them on Amazon and probably a few other knife retailers out there, but great budget knife, and something I want to carry with me if I am doing something that kind of I want to beat on a little bit. So without further ado, the next one, this is a very fun loaner knife. Not that I have it on loan, is that when a friend needs a knife, I would loan them this guy. This is the CRKT Razor Cliff, designed by the late John Graham from Graham Design. Wonderful blade shape. Possibly the best box cutter I've ever had in any of my collection. It has this nice dual edge Warncliffe razor blade thing, which is chisel here plus razor here. Very nice, amazing ergonomics. You have this in hand and it actually locks into your hand quite well. You can even choke up, although your fingers are quite close to the heel of the blade, so be careful with that. You can choke it up, you can hold it up back here. Nice flat spot up here, great for this kind of pinch grip that you have here. We have the finger at the point here. Great for box cutting. This has been used so many times during corporate events where we have lots and lots of boxes to open up to fill goodie bags. This is a knife that I loaned out a lot because it's just such a good design for that kind of opening of boxes and packaging and all that kind of good stuff. Because from CRKT, it doesn't have assisted action, which is great. For some reason, 2023 CRKT is still using a lot of assisted action in their knives. This completely manual stainless steel frame block with a very nice deep carry pocket clip recessed screws. Now, this is like one of the best 5th carry pocket knives I have in my pocket. So yeah, such a great knife. Still in my pocket. Still one of my favorites from last year. One of the most carried knives from 2022. Superseded only by this knife right here. Next up, we have another knife that I normally have with me when I go out running, when I go out. Sometimes when I'm camping, I just want to have a knife that I can just put around my neck so I can carry it around. This is this guy. This is the Kershaw Brace. Okay, this is a 8CR13 MOV coming out of China. And as you can see, this guy has been used quite a lot. This is another very popular loaning knife that I have in my collection. By that, I mean when I had corporate events, I normally carry this guy and this guy so I can pass around. This guy great for box cutting. This guy very how should I say this, very unintimidating for non-knife geeks and non-knife nerds because there's no lock for them to fiddle with. There's no closing action or manipulating locks that they need to do that they might not be comfortable with. Very simple, very straightforward. Knife is in the sheath, pull it out, do any kind of cutting you need, put it back in the sheath, and you are done. So just a great small knife to carry around, a great one to kind of loan out to people. Ergonomics is surprisingly good for such a small knife. You have this nice jimping at the front here where you can have your thumb rest there, and this is kind of the best grip is in this kind of saber grip that you have here. It's also great in this kind of pinch grip because it has these 2 holes for your fingers to go into. So pretty good ergonomic design. Really like this guy. Next up, this knife is on loan. Actually, I've actually done the full review. I just haven't returned it to my friend yet. But I just want to talk about this. This is the Petrified Fish. Do we have the model number here? Petrified Fish PF719. You know, first Petrified Fish I've ever used and I've ever had the opportunity of owning for a short while. And very impressed with this guy. You can check out my review. This is one of those knives that I would liken it to maybe a toxic relationship that you just want to keep going back to. It has so many things that kind of goes against what I want in a pocket knife. It doesn't have a pocket clip. Back spaces are not removable. Taking this guy apart, putting it back together is kind of like trying to take apart and put together an axis lock. Watch the disassembly video for more info on that. But thumb studs on one side, and you have this lock bar that sticks out of the frame, so you have a hot spot there when you close up your hand. But with all of this like negative cons that we have here, a lot of positive stuff. Amazing detent action, fall shutty, so freaking smooth, smoother than my ZT. Okay, and then very ergonomic, very smooth, classy looking saddlewood handles here. So I mean, it's difficult for me to articulate this in just a few minutes, so do check it out in the full review on my channel. Next up, I've got my Spydercos that I want to talk about. So we have here a crowd favorite, the Para 3 Lightweight. And this for a long time was definitely one of the most carried knives. During the move that I had, I think in 2021, this is one of my most used knives from that era. And when I was moving, as you can see, the tip has kind of worn down a little bit because it actually went through a lot of cardboard. And I think might have hit like a little stapler. But yeah, what can I say about this that a lot of people haven't said already? This is such a great simple knife in terms of knife design. This is ergonomic in hand. It is very functional, very utility forward. Love the compression lock. It is still my favorite lock in terms of its simplicity, in terms of its strength, and just the quality of the not the Benchmade, of the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight, and the quality of the FRN scales here, much better than what you get on a Benchmade. I just really like this. Now, a couple of things I might want to do with this. Applied Weapons Tech have actually created aluminium scales for this guy, and you normally see a lot of scales for the regular Para 3, but you don't see many for the Para 3 Lightweight, and I don't know why. There's possibly more of just as much of these guys out there in recent times as there is the Para 3 itself. So Applied Weapons Tech is still out of stock, but I'm hoping to get one of their scales soon, so I can maybe give this a little bit more of a premium feel. Another advantage of those Applied Weapons Tech scales is that the standard Para 3 Lightweight only has washers on one side. They give you a secondary washer for you to put in here. So really excited for that. Can't wait for that. This guy is still in my pocket. I've been carrying this guy a lot for the past 2 weeks because it was out on loan to a friend of mine, and it was nice to get it back. Next up, possibly my favorite camping knife. In fact, not possibly, it is my favorite camping knife because every time I go camping with my family, I bring this guy. This is the Native 5 Salt in the FRN scale, and so what can I say, this is the best ergonomics of any knife I have on my table. The way it shapes into your hands, the way it's shaped right around your fingers where you choke up here, just fantastic in hand. This is actually the best ergonomic design that Spyderco has. I have very few bad things to say about this. It comes in LC28 and there we go, LC200 and blade steel, which is quite tough, relatively good edge retention, great, fantastic, amazing corrosion resistance. You can take this out to the ocean and you can rinse it down and it's still gonna be fine. And yeah, just the perfect one knife. If you only need one knife, I would recommend this guy. This is still like, if I had to sell everything and only keep one knife, from purely utility perspective, this guy is still the best knife out there. Okay, next up, a knife that I would say in terms of design is possibly my favorite out there, the Protac Malibu. Very difficult to get this guy in stock even till today. In fact, pivot's a little bit loose. See now, is the pivot loose? Yeah, pivot's a little bit loose, so I'm gonna fix that while I talk about it. Still very difficult knife to get, even in today's in today's knife market. This guy has been out since 2020, I feel, and every store I go to, it is still not in stock, which is very unfortunate because this guy is one of the best knife designs out there. It has amazing blade steel. It has amazing components, materials to begin with. We have 20 CV blade steel. It has aluminum scales, very, very nice. It has a button lock with bearings, so it's extremely smooth. Just look at that. Zero blade play. Okay, I've just tightened the pivot, zero blade play. Okay, and it is just as fall shutty as it was just now when it was completely loose. And the thing about button locks is that it's kind of difficult to get the detent nicely tuned because of the way the button lock reacts to the tang of the blade. But this guy, they just do it so well, and everything about this guy is amazing. The ergonomics is amazing. The pocket clip is amazing. Completely flush. What's that? Bit of dust. Yeah, there's a bit of dust. Completely flushed pocket clips with the screws, everything completely flush. Great pocket clip design, super deep carry pocket, amazing ergonomics. It does thin out towards the end, so amazing ergonomics in hand, amazing blade shape. I love this kind of worn clip blade shape. Amazing detent, amazing action. The only thing I would change about this knife is the pivots. The pivots now are a hex bit here, and then you have a T6 here, T6 here. I believe those are sorry, these are all hex bits. Hex bit here, hex bit here, hex bit here, and then you have like a T6 here and then some T8s here. It's kind of all over the place. If it was down to me, I would turn everything into T8 screws, and that would just be pretty much the perfect knife. This is 98.2% the perfect knife in my estimation. Moving forward, we have a knife that I would consider to be one of the most easy knife to put in my pocket on a day-to-day basis. This is the quiet carry Waypoint. What can I say about this? Amazing action. Detent super poppy, just flies out. I really like this OD green G10. They do come in titanium, which has its pros, but this OD green Detent looks great. Vanex blade steel, very hard steel that is like H1 levels of no rusting. LC200N steel liners. So what you see here, the LC200N on this blade, yeah, that's what's in the liners there. Very, very nice. Titanium pocket clips. Titanium hardware all the way around. Just a great everyday carry. Nigh unrustable, super sharp, super thin behind the edge, because you have this hollow grind that comes to a very thin edge, and the blade stock is not as is pretty thin to begin with. Fantastic knife. Next up, we have this guy, which is the oldest, and I think this is actually my first ever Grail knife, the ZT0450 CF. Okay, from Zero Tolerance right here. I've been wanting to upgrade the pocket clip. I just haven't had the time or the money to get it out, to go out and buy the deep carry pocket clip. But this guy, I've thought about selling it maybe twice in my entire life, and I just end up never selling it because what it does really, really well. It has this amazing carbon fiber, this mosaic kaleidoscope kind of carbon fiber. It's still the best carbon fiber I've ever experienced from a visual and then from a texture point of view. Just amazing. And it has this amazing detent. This knife has the best detent of any of my pocket knives. It just pops and then it just rockets out of there. Just amazing detents. The knife industry has moved on in terms of like what comes with it. For example, the screws here go straight into the titanium. You don't really see that anymore. We have a free spinning pivot screw here, which you don't see anymore. S35BN, while still great, a lot of companies when it comes to high-end knives, they have moved to M390 or Magna Cut or 20CV. But this guy is still just an amazing knife, and just a reminder for me of where I started with this knife collection and where it has gone now. My holy grails have gone from this guy to this guy, and I'm going to make a video soon about what is the difference between this guy and this guy when it comes to my grails in my collection. Okay, last but not least, we have the final knife here. Now, it actually is not a Protac. This is actually the pouch for this guy. But this guy, surprisingly, in the last 2 months or so, has been my most carried knife, the CJRB Pyrite. Wow, this knife, so much hype in the knife community right now. I think only behind the Civivi Elementum Button Lock 2. And I can see why this is such a beloved knife. You know, amazing deep carry pocket clip, recessed screws, super deep carry, very comfortable in hand. Nice, smooth button lock. Not as buttery smooth as the Protac Malibu, but still smooth enough that it's just nice to use every day. Multiple deployment, you can flick it with your reverse finger, you can just Click it open like that. The detent is a little bit soft, as I already mentioned. Sometimes button locks, they don't have such a great detent unless you're this guy right here. But you can very much flick it out like that. Okay, which is something you don't really experience with this guy. But for this guy, yeah, it can happen. So keep that in mind. But what this guy lacks, it makes up for in every aspect of its design. The blade shape is just as good as a benchmade bug out, but with a finger trowel and with grooves at the top. In fact, it's even finished better in my opinion because it is stone wash. So all these edges here are chamfered down. And the handle just as comfortable as any 940 with a little finger groove here. I'm still working on the full review. I haven't done it yet, but this is just such an amazing knife, such an amazing design. Okay guys, that is it. That is all my knives in my collection. Do comment below of what you love most from my collection as I try to get everything back in frame here. Where's the other one? There you go. Thanks guys, and as always, stay ready.